Today's lecture is on proportion. So what is proportion? Proportion is an equality of two ratios. There are two types of proportion, direct proportion and inverse proportion. So what is the difference between them? So direct proportion. Uh, if one amount increases, for the direct proportion, if one amount increases, other also increases, and if one amount decreases, other also decreases. This is for the direct proportion. And for the inverse proportion, if one value increases, other decreases. And if one decreases, other increases. So this is the difference between the direct proportion and the inverse proportion. So direct proportion, if one amount increases, increases, decreases, decreases, increases, decreases, and if decreases, then increases. So this is for the inverse proportion. So this is basically equality of two ratios. Uh, with the help of this example, you can understand this concept. Uh, if 6 tins of paint are required to paint 8 rooms, how many tins of paint are required to paint 12 rooms? So technique is very, very simple. So there are two categories. How many tins? So make two headings, tins and number of rooms. So the given information is that 6 tins for 8 rooms. 6 tins for 8 rooms. How many tins? Say X. X is question mark. How many tins are required to paint 12 rooms? So the technique is that first you draw, like unknown is here. Draw arrow starting from that unknown towards the other number. So this arrow is now in the upward direction. Then you need to decide which proportion is this, direct or inverse. So if the proportion is direct proportion, then the arrow will be for these two numbers will be in the same direction as before. And if it is inverse proportion, it will be in the opposite direction. So just think. So we for 8 rooms, 6 tins are enough. So if we have more rooms, so obviously we need more tins, number of tins. So if the number of rooms go up, then the number of tins obviously go up. So by increasing one thing, if the other increases, that is the direct proportion. So this is a very important step to decide which proportion is there. Then arrow is in the same direction as before. Then the next step is very simple. You draw the ratio. You write the ratio x over 6. I'm just following the direction for the arrows. X over 6 is equal to 12 over 8. So when you simplify, x is equals to 12 over 8 is multiplied by 6. So 12 over 8 multiplied by 6 is equal to 9. So is equal to 9. So it means the answer is 9. How many tens are required? 9 tens are required to paint 12 rooms. So just for the understanding the equality of two ratios, x is to 6 is equal to 12 is to 8. So proportion is basically is the equality of the two ratios. So the symbol for the proportion is these four dots, 12 is to 8. So you can write directly x over 6, the fraction on the left hand side, and the ratio 12 over 8 on the other side. So in this way you can get the answer. You can know the number of tens. So let the number of tens be x and x is there. A simple example. Next is, if 3 men take 10 days to complete a task, 3 men, 10 days. A part, how many days? How many days? Days first and men, the second category. So how many days? First, you write this first given information here. 3 men, 10 days. How many days? Let the number of days is x. The required number of days is x, and this x is question mark. How many days would 5 men? 5 men. So again, the method is you draw the arrow starting from the variable, the unknown thing towards the other. So from x to 10. Next, we need to check which proportion is this, direct or the inverse. So 3 men can complete a job, a task in 10 days. So if we increase the number of men, so if we increase the number of men, obviously, so we can complete that task in less number of days. So so as we are increasing one thing and number of days are decreasing, so but if one, so this is the example. This is the case of inverse. This is inverse proportion. And for the inverse proportion, we'll be drawing the arrows in the opposite direction to the direction which we have for the other, for the days. So arrows are in the opposite direction because of the inverse proportion. Next, x over, writing the ratio on the left hand side, x over 10, just follow. So the arrow is starting from x, so x over 10, and that is starting from 3, 3 towards 5, so 3 over 5. So when you simplify, it is 3 over 5 multiplied by 10. So 5 two times here. So x is equals to 6. So 6 days, 6 days is the answer. So how many days would 6 men take? Sorry, 5 men take. So 5 men can complete that job in 6 days. Simple. And the B part is, I can write here, how many men would be needed to complete the same task in 15 days? So here, how many men? Write men here and days here, and write this basic information. 3 men complete. This is the ratio given, the rate given. 3 men here, and 10 days here. How many men? So for men, you write unknown. Okay, write y. Y is the variable. Y is for the number of men required, which is the question. 15 days. Again, from the variable, draw the arrow towards the other end and decide. Obviously, this is the case of the inverse proportion. If you increase the number of days, so if you increase the number of days from 10 to 15, so if you want to complete, not instead of 10 days, want to complete that task in 15 days, we need less labor. So it means by increasing one thing, the other is decreasing. So this is the case of inverse proportion. This is inverse proportion. Because we have more days now, and so we need a less number of men to complete that task. So again, writing the proportion 3 over, not y over. So but simple is that the arrows should be in the opposite direction for the inverse, and for the direct proportion, the arrows are in the same direction. Y over 3 is equals to 10 over 15. So the answer is y is equal to 10 over 15 multiplied by 3. So y is equals to 2. So 2 men. We need 2 men. 2 men is the answer. 2 men are required to complete the same task in 15 days. Well, the next question is, there are three categories. If it takes five, if it takes 5 people 12 days to install plumbing for a house, then so they are thinking, in how many days would it take 2 people to complete 1/3 of the job, 1/3 of the same job? So 1/3 of the plumbing work. There are three categories. So how many days? Better write days first. Days here, then people, then is the job. So 12 days, 5, 12 days, 5 people, and yes, for job, you can say this is one job. Just write one, or you may take write any other thing, like you can say that A is that job. So I'm writing one. So one job. One job means just write one. Then how many days? X is question mark. How many days? How many days would it take 2 people to complete 1/3? So 1/3 of the job. So as it is one, so 1/3 of one means 1/3 multiplied by one. We can simply write 1/3. You can manage the situation. 1/3 of the job. Now again, arrow from here. So for drawing the arrows for the rest of the two, so what we do, we need to ignore one, like say ignore the job. If we ignore the job, then people, 5 people, 12 days to complete a task. To complete a task. I'm not considering one and 1/3. I'm just looking for a just for a task. 5 men, 5 men take 12 days to complete the job. So, and 2 people. So if there are 2 people and the same job is there, obviously, if there are 2 people and we want to complete the same job, we need more days to complete the job. So arrow is in the opposite direction. So yes, we have decided the people, for the people and the days, it is the inverse, because if we are decreasing number of people, we need more days to complete that task. Okay, next, just ignore this for a while and compare job and the days. So one job in 12 days, and if we want to complete one job, one plumbing work for a house, we need 12 days. So in order to complete 1/3, obviously we need less days, because it is now 1/3. Previously it was one. For one job, we need 12 days. And say we fix the number of people in this case. We are just ignoring this part. I'm just comparing first and the last. So for one job, 12 days are required. So for 1/3 of that same job, so we need less number of days. So by decreasing one thing, the other is decreasing. So this is the case of the direct proportion. So arrow is in the same direction. So first I must delete this part, and then comparing first and the last. First and the last. So this was in the opposite direction. This was in the opposite direction, because people and days inverse proportion, and job and days direct. So same as this arrow. So after drawing these arrows, so next is the just equating the ratios. X over 12, starting from x towards 12, I'm just following the direction for the arrows, is equal to x over 12 is equal to 5 upon 2 multiplied by 1 over 3 over 1, which can be written as 1 over 3 whole divided by 1 is simply 1 over 3. So x is equals to, so you can write 5 over 3 to the 6. And finally, the answer is 5 over 6 multiplied by 12. So x is equals to 10 days. So it means that 10 days are required if we have two people and we want to complete 1/3 of that job. So answer is 10 days. So a good question. So both direct and the inverse proportions were involved here for the days and the people, inverse for the days and the job. It is direct. So simply follow the arrows and you can reach the answer. We can solve the question which we solved earlier uh, by using this concept. So we have a question here. Earlier we solved this question by using uh, the unitary method. Now, let us solve the same question and you can reach the same answer quickly. So using the concept of proportion, using the concept of proportion. The question was the Tom runs at a rate of 300 meters every 1 minute and how many minutes? So we have, so this is part A, the alternate solution. So the answer we know is 13. Let us find this answer by using the proportion concept. Uh, Here I can write uh, two categories. One is the time and the other is, so time is one category and the distance is the other. 300 meters, 300 meters every 1 minute, 1 minute. How many minutes? X question mark for the distance 3900. Again, draw the arrows. So this arrow is here. So for 300 distance, we need 1 minute. Obviously, for 300 meters, this is in meters, this is in minutes. So for 3,900 meters, we need more time. So by increasing one thing, the other is also increasing. So this is the case of the direct proportion. So I can write x over 1 is equals to 3,900 over 300. And quickly you can read that answer, which we obtained previously. So 13 is the answer. So 13 minutes is the answer, same as before. So you can get this answer, so the same answer. Here I apply the unitary method. Now with the help proportion, I solve the same question. Also, the second part of this question, the question second part was uh, for how far had he run 5 minutes ago? And the third part was how many more minutes will he have run? A total of 6 kilometers. Now, after deciding the time 5 minutes before, I can solve part B. So this working is the basic working. Again, two categories. One is the distance in meters. The other is the time in minutes. So the distance is 300 in 1 minute, and question is the distance is question mark, x is question mark, and the time is 8 minutes. Draw the arrow, and yes, this is the case of direct proportion because if the time is increasing, obviously more distance is covered. So x over 300 is 8 over 1, and this answer is same as before. This answer is 2400 meters, and yes, this is there. And the last C part, after converting this to meters, the question was how many more minutes are required. Again, after reaching here, so how many more minutes? Two categories. One is the time, the other is the distance in meters. So the basic information, the basic rate is we know that 300 meters in 1 minute. So then 6,000 meters would be question mark, say why, question mark, why is the time to complete 600, arrow in the upper direction starting from the unknown. And yes, this thing is clear that the case is of direct proportion because for the more distance we need more time. So same arrow, same direction, as in the same direction. Y over 1 is equals to 6,000 over 300. So y is equals to 20, the answer same as before. So 20 minutes, then we subtracted this 20 from 13 to for the required answer. So this answer can be reached directly without showing this unitary method, without showing this type of working. Directly you can reach the answer for by using the proportions. Next, again the same question can be solved using the proportion. So 1 is to 75 is the scale, 1 is to 75 is the scale. So I have the space here. So on the map, we have 1, on actually we have it was 75, guys. So if it is 75, question was find the length in meters represented by 14 centimeter on the map. So on the map, 14 centimeter is equals to x, which is question mark actually. So arrow in the upward direction starting from the variable. And if obviously this is the case of direct proportion, if you increase one thing on the map, so if the length on the map if the length on the map increases, obviously the other actual length is increasing. So uh, here I can write x over 75 is equals to 14 over 1, and x is equals to 14 multiplied by 75. 14 multiplied by 75, same here, 1050. This is 1050 centimeters because this is in centimeters, this is in centimeters. And yes, you can write the answer as 10.5 meters if you divide by 100. Next, this was part A, alternate by using the proportion. The second, actual and map. So 75 is actual and map is 1. Both are in centimeters. So the last part was find the length in centimeters. On the map, 120 meters. 120 meter is actually 12,000 centimeters. So we need this in centimeters. So here I'm writing 120 meters. 120 meters actually is 12000 centimeters. So 12000 12,000 is equals to map is question mark. I can use x or I can use any variable. So as I used x for the first case, okay, you can use y on the map. Again, arrow is obvious a direct proportion. Then y over 1 is equals to 12,000 over 75, and 12,000 over 75 is the answer 160 centimeter on map. So 120 meters actually is 160, and yes, the answer was 160. So you can manage all the situations. You can manage all the situations by using all such situations of the rate by using the proportion. After this discussion of the proportion, the last is the variation. Variation, when we say y varies directly as x, we write this symbol. Y varies directly as x. And when we remove this sign of variation, we write equals to kx, where k is called constant of proportionality. So y varies directly as x is same as y is directly proportional to x. When we say that y varies inversely as x, it means inversely means 1 over. And this is the sign, this is the symbol for the variation. Y varies directly as 1 over x. And when we remove this sign, we write k over x, and k is the constant. And this is same as y inversely proportional to x, as discussed earlier. So y varies directly as x means y is directly proportional to x. Y varies inversely as x means inversely proportional to x. So two examples for this. You can manage the situation by using the proportion, but I'm using a different approach by using the sign of proportionality. So y varies directly as x plus 5. So y varies directly, here is y directly as x plus 5. It's not just x plus 5 on the x plus 5 on the right hand side. And we know when we remove this sign of proportionality, this sign of variation, we write k into x plus 5. So after writing this formula, we find k. K is constant to be found. And for k, we have the information. So information will be given. So the information is that this is the information. And this information can give you the value of k. And this way you can complete the formula. When y is equal to, when y is equals to, sorry, when y is equals to minus 16, x is equals to minus 9. So minus 16 is k into minus 9 plus 5. Minus 16 is equals to k minus 4. K is minus 16 over minus 4. K is equals to 4. And therefore, the formula is y is equals to, this k was unknown, and yes, this is their constant. This is the constant of proportionality, constant. And then 4 into x plus 5 is the formula for this problem. And this formula can be used to find x if y is given, uh, and if x is given, you can find the value of y. So y, find the value of x when y is 32. 32 is equals to 4 into x plus 5, and then you divide by 4 equals to x plus 5, and finally it is 8, and the answer is equal to x plus 5 is equals to 8. X is equal to minus, x is equals to 3. X equals to 3 is the answer. And the last, y varies inversely as x minus 3. Y is equals to k over x minus 3. Inversely means 1 over. This information is given for the k. Y is equals to 2, x is equals to 7. So if y is equals to 2 and k over 7 minus 3, and next is 2 is equals to k over 4, the value of k is 8, and therefore you can write the formula as y is equals to k is there, k is 8 from here, 8 over x minus 3. If it is 8 over x minus 3, then question is to find x when y equals to 16. So this is the formula when y equals to 16, uh, 8 over x minus 3, and you can simplify, you can cross multiply, you can write 16 and x minus 3 is equals to 8. You can open the bracket, or what you can do, you can divide by 16 and then 1 over 2 on the other side. So x minus 3 is equals to 1 over 2, and x is equals to 3 plus 1 over 2. 3 plus 1 over 2 means 3 plus 1 over 2. So x is equals to 3.5. You can use calculator or 3 whole 1 over 2. So this was a question on uh, inverse variation. The last question is example 3. It is given that y varies directly as x and inversely as there are 3 variables involved. Y varies directly as x, right in the numerator, and inversely as the right in the denominator. You can write it directly. So y is equals to, when we remove this sign, write k. So k into x over z. And the question is find y in terms of x and z. So this is the information given that when y is equals to 3, x is equals to 12, z is equals to 8. This information can be used here. So 3 is value of y, k is unknown and is the constant, x is 12, and z is 8. You can cross multiply first. 24 is equals to 12k, and k is equals to 24 over 12. So k is equals to 2. If k is equals to 2, so y in terms of x and z, you can write y is equals to, it was k into x over z. So k we have, the value of k is 2. So 2x over z. So we have expressed y in terms of x and z. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel and press and click bell icon for more videos. Thank you.